So one of my wife's good clients brought this stone to her. Client had received it from, I believe, her mother or possibly grandmother. I wasn't there, so I didn't get the story as Bopie did. It's supposed to be green quartz, and the client wants to keep the stone, but wants it cut into a emerald-shaped design. So it's currently about 16 millimeters, and we need to cut it to fit a mounting that the client has picked out. So it's going to be smaller because we're changing the shape, and it because it has to fit into a special design. So let's see how much it weighs. And it weighs in at about 15.2 carats. So I'm going to attach it to the dop and be ready to start cutting on our should be green quartz. I showed you in a previous video how to go back in time on the internet, because the internet never forgets, and find all of the dozen or so gem faceting diagrams which the late Jeff Graham had put into the public domain for all gem cutters to enjoy, including his Graham Prince design. Here is a link to that video if you want to see all the designs Jeff put into his website. And also there are a number of valuable articles on gem cutting which Jeff had written, which you may want to read and download. Very valuable to cutters. Here is the gem cutting diagram for the Graham Prince. The customer believes this material to be green quartz, but we were not engaged to test the gemstone, so I won't know for certain if it's quartz. I will be able to rule out what this gemstone isn't simply by the way it cuts and by the way it polishes and what oxides that I need to use to polish it, as well as the way it reacts when I put it in refractol. So I can narrow down the field of possibilities of what this gemstone is without any other testing, just from cutting and polishing the gemstone. But I won't be able to say with certainty what this material is without other testing. Now Jeff wrote a note on his Graham Prince design that for quartz, to just add 2 degrees to each tier on the pavilion and leave the crown angles as written. So I wrote in the new angles for the pavilion for quartz. I wish I had this design and all of Jeff's public domain designs in the Gem Cut Studio software in the format for GCS, as that would allow me to make these minor changes rather quickly, but I haven't had time to load these designs into GCS, basically build them from the printout. If any of you out there have Jeff's designs in a GCS format, please let me know, as I love cutting Jeff's designs and I cut them often. Okay, I finished preforming our green quartz, and I started with a 240 grit topper just to do the girdle, and then after that I went to a 320 grit topper to do the upper facets, and just the first row of upper facets. Then I used the 600 grit topper on the next row on the pavilion, and then went back over everything with started going over everything with my 3000 grit diamond on a bat lap. And I've just been working the girdle so far, so you can see it's starting to look very pre-polished. And I've got the length and the width set exactly to what Bopie has and the client have picked out as the mounting. So everything's coming along nicely. They've got the mounting picked out. Now they need the stone to fit it. So I'll continue to pre-polish the girdle and get it just exactly the right length to width. Okay, I finished polishing the bottom half of our gemstone. I used creamway lap and supercharged it with a cerium oxide bat stick. You can run the creamway without any bat stick, without any oxide on it, and it will polish, but it's very slow. So I wanted to polish a little faster, move things a little bit along a little quicker, so I used my cerium oxide bat stick. So now I'll transfer our stone and cut the upper half. Okay, I've polished the first 3 tiers, the C1, C2, and C3 rows on the crown, and you can see the difference between the polished and the pre-polished. So I polished with cerium oxide, a creamway lap with a little bit of cerium oxide bat stick, but not a whole lot. You can run the cerium oxide, the creamway lap without any cerium oxide because it's embedded in the lap. But I felt that adding just a little bit really helped speed up the polishing. And it polished right away. So this is unpolished and this is polished. Let's see if I can get the light to show that a little better. Okay, so those facets are not polished, and the facet below it, those are polished. So we'll continue polishing up the final 2 rows of our gram prints, and then we'll be able to cut the table and polish the table, and then we'll be done with this gemstone. Okay, I finished polishing up the crown with our creamway lap and a little bit of cerium oxide bat stick, so polished right up. So I'll set up our stone to cut and polish the table. Okay, I polished the table of our stone, so I finished polishing our stone. I used the creamway lap, and I did kind of supercharge it with just a little bit of cerium oxide on the bat stick from Gearloose. So soak the stone in the acetone to remove it from the dop, then we'll weigh it, measure it, and send it off to BOPIE. Today I recut an heirloom gemstone for one of BOPIE'S good customers. I changed the round gemstone into an emerald-shaped gemstone in the design the customer wanted, the gram prints. I cut the gram prints to fit a special mounting selected by the customer. I did lose some carat weight in changing a round gemstone into an emerald or rectangular shape, as expected, but the final gemstone looks beautiful and the customer is very happy with the new piece of jewelry BOPIE created for her. The gram prints design is not a difficult design to cut, and even a new cutter should be able to cut this design, and I'd recommend you give it a try. So please let me know in the comments what you think of this design and of the final gemstone, and if you have cut this or any of Jeff's designs yourself, drop me a note on Facebook and let me know how it turned out for you. Photos are always welcomed. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.